1,000 hours is equivalent to almost 42 days, which it is more than an entire month. Imagine if you could dedicate that time to learning how to code, play the guitar, cook better, or even master a skill. It's precious time that flies by so fast, you can barely notice when it's over. I am someone who loves to dedicate myself fully when I'm passionate about something. Passion is the fuel that ignites my hyperfocus and enables me to go above and beyond. I poured 1,000 hours into many things, and some pursuits have been absorbed over 10,000 hours of my life. However, this one was truly special. Those 1,000 hours spent in a single-player survival horror game marked the beginning of my journey as a content creator. And you know what? It was worth every moment. I'd do all over again in a heartbeat. But enough of that. Join me as I discuss the evil within from the perspective of someone who has invested countless hours into it. I will make comparisons between what a new player will experience based on reviews from Twitch streamers that I reached while they were playing the game for the first time, and share my own opinions and criticism despite my deep fondness for the game. So sit back, relax, as I tell you the reason why I have 1,000 hours in the evil within. After feeling dissatisfied with the direction the horror gaming industry was taking, which increasingly leaned towards action and hide-and-seek style games, Shinji Mikami, the creator and mastermind behind Resident Evil, decided that he needed to shake up the prevailing survival horror conventions. He aimed to recapture the classic essence of survival horror that had once been as peak. With this goal in mind, Mikami, along with former Capcom and Platinum Games employees, founded Tango Gameworks, and with this amazing and talented team on board, and a vision in mind, Mikami's The Evil Within was born.
サイコなっていう、精神的な世界、独特の世界の中で、起きる、ホラーにしたかったっていう、それが最初の、きっかけですね。
The objective of The Evil Within was quite simple: to resurrect classical survival horror. They teased the game with concept art and trailers and marketing campaigns before its release, and the idea was undeniably intriguing and solid. However, upon its release, the game faced several challenges, including poor performance, frame rate issues that dipped as low as 15 to 20 frames in certain levels, particularly on the PS4 version, which was the next-gen console at the time. These technical issues persisted until this day. Gameplay felt clunky. The story was so convoluted that the players struggled to make sense of it without meticulously reading all the in-game documents. For some, The Evil Within was considered a disaster. And the reason for these criticisms are evident. In this video, I aim to share my perspective on some of these criticisms after spending a considerable amount of time playing the game. Let's start from the beginning by exploring what The Evil Within is all about.
Smells like blood. All right, stay sharp.
In The Evil Within, you assume the role of Sebastian Castellanos, a detective tasked with investigating a hospital murder. Joining him on his eerie journey are his partners, Joseph Oda and the enigmatic Julie Kidman. At first glance, Sebastian may appear apathetic to the gruesome circumstances he encounters. However, this detachment is a deliberate aspect of his character design. He's portrayed as someone grappling with inner demons, pushing him to self-destructive habits like alcoholism and smoking. Sebastian's character is a perfect fit for the game's aesthetic and concept. As the game unfolds, you notice subtle but intelligent changes in his character. One early instance highlights this transformation. After a near-death encounter with a chainsaw maniac known as the Sadist, Sebastian, visibly exhausted, reaches for a cigar. However, he hesitates, recognizing that those same cigars almost became the death of him in a different way. This attention to detail adds depth to Sebastian's character, which I personally appreciated. Throughout the campaign, Sebastian faces numerous challenges, making him an intriguing character despite his lack of charisma. And that's fine. He's not a corny super cop that can pull off amazing stunts to avoid getting damage. Instead, he's in his late 30s, where the toll of the age and unhealthy physical and mental habits is evident. This is reflected in the gameplay as well. His aim is imprecise. Even when the crosshair is on target, he will miss a lot of shots quite frequently. He can't run for more than a few seconds without getting winded. And if pushed, he will stop to catch his breath due to his deteriorated lungs. Sebastian is an average person thrust into the most harrowing and surreal situations. That's why, for me, he's an excellent and intriguing protagonist for the specific game. But this is no excuse for the flawed gameplay that I will be discussing a bit later in the video. Another standout aspect for me is the game's world. Having immersed myself into this madness for over 1,000 hours, I can confidently say that is breathtaking. It combines a Victorian aesthetic with a Silent Hill twist. The game begins with you outside in an empty city, guiding you into a blood-soaked hospital corridor that leads to a gruesome basement filled with body bags hanging from meat hooks, all accompanied by a haunting classical music playing in the background. The way the game presents its initial areas within just a few minutes grabs the player attention quickly. The setup is terrific, and the first 5 minutes offer a delightful experience that genuinely excites you, especially if you are a survival horror fan. However, it's worth noting that this initial excitement takes a downturn quite quickly. After stealthily obtaining the key for our escape, Sebastian inadvertently trips over a wire, triggering an alarm that immediately draws the attention of the sadist. With lightning speed, the sadist appears right behind us, ready to slash Sebastian in half. In this moment, you have no weapons to defend yourself, no items to throw, only the option to run. However, the sadist catches up quickly and swings his chainsaw, striking Sebastian in the leg. This injury leaves him limping from the remainder of the level, adding even more tension to this already heart-pounding chase. At first glance, the game's early chase sequence may not seem bad at all, and it works well if you're playing through the game only once or maybe twice. However, upon watching numerous videos and reading various criticisms, I must admit that some of these points resonate, especially when replaying the game multiple times. This particular section of the game feels entirely on rails. While there's a possibility of dying, it doesn't allow you much freedom to control Sebastian as you progress through the level. Or to put more precisely, the level design itself is exceptionally linear. Let me explain. True horror often thrives on the fear of the unknown. And to make a horror game truly scary, you don't necessarily need jump scares. Instead, you must manipulate the player's perspective. I believe Outlast 2 excels in this regard, particularly in the school section, where the level design isn't linear. Players face various horrific moments where the monster not only toys with them, but also actively gives chase. This unpredictability leads to frequent moments of panic and genuine fear. Now, after you've completed the school section in Outlast 2, every return visit keeps you on edge because you know it's coming, but you don't know how or when will happen. The only drawback in that section is the potential frustration of dying repeatedly until you figure out what to do. However, this also contributes to the fear factor. In contrast, the evil within first level, while impressive in theory and aligned with the game's intention direction, doesn't evoke the same sense of horror. The game essentially holds the player's hands throughout the initial minutes, negating the fear factor and delivering an experience contrary to the classical survival horror essence it promises to revive. Also, a side note, this section is so on rails that you can slide down the bloody chute without the need to dodge any obstacles. The game takes care of dodging for you. So right, we are here again, being chased by the sadist, and basically this is like super on rails section. There are no things you can do to fuck up. You just keep running, and that's it. Basically, Sebastian is like
The only way that you can die is literally if you just stop pressing forward. Like, it's literally the only way you can die. The only way you can die. So yeah, we're just gonna run here. As I can see you, I'm just going holding forward, right? So we're gonna press X so you get enter to the chute, and then I'm just gonna let Sebastian do the thing. I don't need to control anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm not pushing any directional. It's just the game doing its thing. You don't need to do anything here. Basically, it's totally 100% on rails. You cannot die there unless you manage to control Sebastian towards the spikes, of course.
After these high-octane first minutes and impressive introduction, we arrived at what might have been the quit moment for most players. If you didn't enjoy the introduction, you'll probably end up disliking the rest of the game. For those like myself who enjoyed the overall experience, I have some criticisms to share. Let's assume that you thoroughly enjoyed the first few minutes of the game up to this point, feeling intrigued, engaged, and eager to delve deeper into the game. Now, the game grants you the freedom to explore, putting you in the control of Sebastian. Initially, the game introduces you to the healing and weapon wheel mechanics, which are super simple and straightforward. Good design so far. However, this is also where things start to go downhill. As I mentioned earlier, I appreciate how the gameplay aspect aligns with Sebastian's character, but that doesn't necessarily make it a good thing. In the first section of the game, you encounter enemies that can be stealthily taken down. However, you notice that Sebastian's movement can be rather clunky, so it's quite likely you struggle with the initial stealth sections. This is understandable, but even if you manage to stealth your way through, gather items, and advance to sections with more enemies, you'll find that getting accustomed to the controls can be a rough experience. If you choose to run, you quickly run out of stamina in just 3 seconds or less, causing Sebastian to stop to catch his breath. This pause gives enemies ample opportunity to strike, and they inflict significant damage, especially in the early chapters. The enemy's AI is relentless, especially in the attacking groups, and their behavior can sometimes be erratic. If you attempt to fight back, you need to be cautious about your ammunition because you can carry only a limited amount, and it is really limited. Additionally, as I mentioned earlier, Sebastian may miss shots despite the crosshair being on target. So despite having firepower at your disposal, you can't recklessly use your arsenal against these enemies. Otherwise, you'll find yourself dying repeatedly. I've watched numerous runs and first playthrough of this game on Twitch before writing the script, and after talking to some of those same wholesome streamers, I noticed recurring patterns. Chapter 2 proves to be very punishing, and you must persevere. If you manage to survive Chapter 2 and 3, you'll likely complete the game. However, the game's lack of incentives for progression is striking. No matter what approach you take as a player, the game seems determined to punish you. If you attempt to play aggressively, you face the consequences of clunky controls and a shortage of resources. If you try to play stealthily, you often find that the game doesn't allow for most of the time, forcing a more direct approach. Attempting to conserve resources becomes challenging too, as you're limited in what you can carry, pushing you to use items rather than hoard them. Many players I observed shared these frustrations, with control and mechanics being the primary focus of their complaints, along with AI behavior, especially when playing at 60 FPS or higher. It's essential to note that this game was designed to be played at 30 FPS, and playing at 60 FPS or higher can lead to issues. At higher frame rates, the physics of the game can break, causing objects in the environment to behave erratically, enemies to gain a massive speed advantage in unfair attacks and grabs, and hitboxes to become even more problematic. It's unfortunate, especially considering that 60 FPS is a standard in the current generation. If you manage to survive until this point and complete Chapter 3, you might probably finish the game. However, I use the term might because when you look at Steam achievements for The Evil Within, a glaring issue becomes apparent. The achievement for completing the game on casual difficulty, which is the easiest setting, has been attained by only 26.3% of the players. This statistic alone highlights how the first few hours of the game may not work as intended. In order for the game to succeed, its opening hours need to be captivating and immersive, ensuring that players are hooked from the start, regardless of what follows. To provide better comparison, let's consider the original Resident Evil 4, which in my opinion has a compelling opening sequence. In Resident Evil 4, the achievement for ringing the bell, which encompasses the first 30 to 40 minutes of gameplay in the first playthrough, was completed by 70.6% of the players on Steam. In contrast, The Evil Within, which also features an early village section that can be completed after defeating the sadist, has only 49.3% of players completing this section. These statistics reveal that less than half of the players who started the game on Steam made it past Chapter 3. A disappointing outcome considering the game has much to offer after that. If you persevere through the challenging chapters thus far, you'll be rewarded with some of the most breathtaking level designs and terrific soundtrack that immerses you in the eerie atmosphere of every room in the game. It's a delightful art experience, in my opinion, where I encountered some of my favorite areas in horror games. One standout is the mansion in the Chapter 9, a clear homage to the old classic Resident Evil 1. There's also a creepy factory with an otherworldly vibe reminiscent of Silent Hill combined with elements reminiscent of the Saw series. The sunflower field stands out brilliantly, especially after encountering numerous green environments. This contrast creates a sense of safety, though it's a deceptive facade for what lies beneath the surface. Chapters 11 to 12 in the city levels represents a shift away from the game's primary focus on horror, leaning more towards action. However, in Chapter 13, we find Akumu destroy apartment level filled with traps that shines brighter than the other city levels. It's in these linear and compact environments that the game truly excels, with intricate and captivating details. It's a stunningly designed, horrifying journey throughout some of the most artistically crafted levels I ever seen. Let's not forget about the enemies, which were brilliantly executed by one of my favorite artists in gaming industry, Ikumi Nakamura. For those who might not be familiar with Ikumi's work, you might remember her from this viral moment at E3.
Wow, so many people. Wow, thank you. ありがとうございます。We are making a new kind of action-adventure game. It's spooky. But not the survival horror game that we are known for.
It's fascinating how such an amazing person with a beautiful and kind aura can design some of the most darkest, most disturbing and gruesome characters in video game history. The contrast is truly captivating and has made me admire her even more. Ikumi's work is simply out of this world, and I dare say that The Evil Within is The Evil Within because of her memorable characters like the Keeper and Laura. The monsters in this game are not only a visual delight, but also provide intense and enjoyable boss fights, featuring a variety of enemy types. As you progress further into the game, these monstrosities become increasingly bizarre. I particularly enjoy the Laura sections, especially in Chapter 10, where you have to navigate an obstacle course while avoiding her. It's one of my favorite parts every time I play the game. Additionally, I'm a fan of the Keeper character. He gives off a Pyramid Head vibe, but with his own unique twist. It's evident they acknowledge the similarities and even pay homage to our beloved Pyramid Head. Each character in the game has a purpose, and much like Silent Hill 2, they are all connected to someone. However, this time the connection isn't to the protagonist, but to Ruvik. the main villain of the game. The story can be confusing because the world you are in tells the story of the villain. This complexity can make it hard to understand because you don't know him well. Even after playing through it once, you might only catch glimpses of the story. It's not badly written, it's just that the frustrating gameplay experience can overshadow the plot. You can easily miss files that provide vital information essential to the storyline. And this could be a quick moment for the players who are primarily interested in the story.
Are we awake?
Is everyone else all right? The city.
Whatever are you talking about? You are the only soul here, right now.
Well, after all of that said, I can assure you that this game, in my opinion, didn't live up to its expectations. It fails to be a true return to survival horror and leans more into a clunky horror experience that is not welcome to casual audience and even the veterans. But why did I put 1,000 hours into it? It doesn't make sense, right? It was during the pandemic, dark times, and there came to a point when I needed something to distract myself from the world's troubles. I used to engage in various activities, particularly drawing, but I yearned for something different, something that would consume my focus entirely. Then, one day while browsing YouTube, a recommended video caught my eye, a speedrun of The Evil Within. The video in particular was by Jigsaw Killer, showcasing a flawless playthrough of the entire game on Akumu difficulty, the game's most challenging setting, where absolutely anything, and I mean anything, can kill you with a single hit.
Come on, hit him. That was flash. Bin. Well, that's a new one.
I was utterly captive by the beauty of the run. 3 hours of pure skill, expertly navigating the most insane sections of the game on the most nightmarish difficulty, all despite the game's somewhat awkward controls. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and simultaneously, I felt strong desire to experience it for myself. So that's precisely what I did, and it was awesome. Usually, speedrunners tend to learn a game by starting on an easier difficulty to grasp the mechanics and master them before ramping up the difficulty. However, I was determined and I chose to learn the entire run on Akumu's difficulty right from day one. I faced countless deaths, got stuck in numerous levels, and it took me a grueling 2 months of almost daily practice to finally complete my first run. Of course, it was a disaster with almost 500 deaths and a playthrough that stretched to 7 hours. Keep in mind that I was starting the game from scratch every day, so if I had finished my run on Monday at chapter 5, the next day I'll replay chapters 1 to 5 before advancing to chapter 6. I repeated all the strategies, often failing at them, until I finally honed my skills enough to complete the game from start to finish. It was undeniably one of the greatest challenges of my life and quite possibly the most difficult accomplishment I've achieved in my gaming journey. Today I find myself playing Akumu difficulty even during casual playthroughs. I've beaten this game so many times that it's become pure muscle memory. Yet, every run presents a fresh challenge. The rush of adrenaline that comes from navigating difficult sections without dying, or perhaps completing an entire challenge flawlessly, is incredibly rewarding. Mastering a challenge game like this brings a unique sense of accomplishment, especially when I've learned that completing the game on Akumu difficulty is one of the most frustrating and rare achievements in gaming. However, my love for this game goes beyond its difficulty. After playing for this long and offer my criticism throughout this video, I now want to share how I personally feel about this game. This is my opinion based on my experience and may not necessarily reflect the experience that more casual players will have. This might catch some of you off guard, but I genuinely love the gameplay and controls in this game. They feel incredibly fluid to me, functioning well and offering precision in various aspects. However, it's important to note that while these controls excels in many areas, the inherent clunkiness and imprecise aiming can sometimes lead to unfair deaths, especially during sections like the gondola ride. For instance, the gondola section requires rapid and accurate shots, and here you find yourself praying for your pistol to target each enemy before new ones spawn. Otherwise, you will quickly become overwhelmed by a barrage of enemies tossing hatches, Molotov cocktails, and gunfire your way. Over time, movement in the game becomes more manageable. It doesn't feel as sluggish as it did during the first playthroughs. Despite the initially limited stamina bar, I eventually became adept at managing it. It became second nature to me until I go to chapter 6, when I made my first upgrade. The game features an upgrade system, and I must admit that I never fully explored all its possibilities. I tended to upgrade only what was necessary for the specific run, which isn't much. My first upgrade occurred in chapter 6, when I increased my stamina to level 4 out of 5 and enhanced the stun duration of my flash bolts from 4 seconds to 7 seconds. This was crucial for navigating one of the game's toughest challenges, the cabin fight. There's also a final upgrade requirement that necessitates increasing the Magnum's damage by 2 levels and the fire rate by 1. This upgrade is essential for defeating the Squidward boss. However, before delving into that, I want to talk about how combat changed for me. As I mentioned earlier, the game punishes you regardless of your choosing playstyle and can be unwelcoming in its design. But over time, I discovered the most effective way to play this game. Constantly and literally utilizing your entire arsenal, including, and perhaps most importantly, your agony bolts and matches. Yes, matches and bolts are among the game's most crucial mechanics, allowing you to tackle what initially seem like the most challenging sections with relative ease. Let's take the cabin fight as an example, where your initial instinct might be to eliminate every enemy that appears until Joseph finally unlocks the door for your escape. However, I learned that the more enemies you kill, the more enemies will spawn, which makes sense. But here's the catch. This section perfectly illustrates the importance of using our arsenal strategically. At the beginning of the encounter, you face 2 haunted by the window. Your first objective is to eliminate them because more haunted will spawn regardless if you kill those first 2 or not. So I devised a plan. I learned the first 2 enemies to a barrel and took them out with a single pistol shot, effectively hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. Now, after the other haunted have spawned, it's crucial to switch to a regular boat to send one of them flying through the window. Here's the key detail. At this point, if you kill anyone else, even more enemies will spawn. However, the one I send flying is quite far away and takes a significant amount of time for him to return to the cabin. By the time he does, Joseph is nearly finished unlocking the door. So your objective essentially becomes running in circles, luring those 2 remaining haunted, and that's it. Another section that I absolutely love is the following one, where you find yourself overwhelmed by enemies, where you have to dismantle the turrets guarding a tower. The sheer number of enemies relentlessly trying to kill you leaves no room for mistakes. One wrong move and you will meet your swift demise. Even though there is a faster way to tackle this level now, I cherish the old approach where I dash around, dodging and dispatching foes with precise shots while swiftly taking out each turret. It's an exhilarating experience, especially when you make use of the entire arsenal, seamlessly switching between nearly all of your weapons: pistol, flashbolt, explosives, and the trusty axe. This section is a combination of many game mechanics coming together in a brilliant and immersive, satisfying way. Or on chapter 11, the garage. Here you face hordes of enemies that have many ways to kill you. To normal hunted, to SWAT hunted that have body armor and machine guns. It's a really hard section, but after mastering it, it just feels so satisfying. But better than describing, let me show you.
Okay, so we are basically here at the chapter 11. I just realized that I didn't have a save for that, so I'm just using the footage that I already did on Akumu. Because I want to do it live because I think it's cooler, but because I didn't have the save and I had to replay a substantial portion of the game, and I don't have time to delay the video anymore because I have to work tomorrow and through the entire week. I'm gonna do this, no worries, that's fine. Still Akumu, so no worries. So basically, First things first, you need a couple electric bolts and a sniper rifle. So we're gonna go here. There's a guy right further there. We're gonna just shoot him in the head. Really simple, really quickly. Gonna go down, gonna get some sniper ammo to refuel our missing ammo, and then we're gonna go all the way around. So we're gonna shoot that guy there that is sneak peeking there, just like, hey there, you're not gonna see me. So after that, we're gonna use a freeze bolt so we can shoot two guys at the garage right in the back. Then we're gonna aim the shotgun right there so we can shoot this guy out of the platform. Easy, simple. Now, those two guys are gonna die. We're gonna use electric bolt right on that stain. That stain is really important. There is a stain in the ground. Let me show you, wait. Do you see, wait, I'm gonna pause it. Do you see this black stain here in the ground? Up there. So basically that black stain is more or less where you need to throw the electric bolt. So you kind of throw it like right there. This is where I used to actually see what I'm doing. Then we're gonna wait. A couple guys will spawn. All those three are gonna stumble into the electric bolt, and then you, of course, you're just gonna burn them. Then we're gonna use another electric bolt at the staircase. And you can see the electric bolt is slightly turned to the left. So if you can do that, that is essential. So no, if you don't do that, basically there is a chance of a guy not being electrified. And this might happen here, maybe. I don't remember actually. Okay, there's a sniper guy that will spawn after this wave. So we're gonna wait. I'm gonna shoot that guy, and then those two guys are gonna get electrified. And yeah, the third guy it didn't, but I got lucky because he was just there stalking me around the corner. So I really got lucky. So we can restock one electric bolt, and then we'll stay there on cover, because the next wave is gonna be the SWAT guys, because the SWAT guys have machine guns. So don't get out of cover. Two guys, SWAT guys coming with the fucking assault rifles. No worries, we're gonna wait for them to go down, and then we're gonna kill them. Okay, now there's another one that is here, and this is where timing is key. You basically need to throw the grenade as soon as the door is opening. You need to throw before, so you need to memorize the pattern of the opening of the door, and you throw the grenade right where when the door is about to open. Basically that's it. That's the garage. The garage is actually really it's a really hard section that if you don't know the strategy, it can go like sideways like super quickly.
To be honest, there are numerous moments where the combat in this game simply shines for me. Many strategies lead to the most satisfying conclusions to encounters, and mastering them is truly cool, providing me with countless enjoyable moments. Moreover, knowing how to navigate extremely difficult sections in a minute or less is simply amazing. I will provide two excellent examples of this. Firstly, there's the village, or like I mentioned before, chapter 3. Often considering the quick moment for most players, the village is essentially the first area with a plethora of enemies, traps, and numerous items to collect. However, it's filled with surprises lurking around every corner, and I've witnessed many players struggle with this section. I can understand why. It's undeniably tough, and the game barely introduces you to its mechanics. But did you know that you can complete this level in just 3 to 4 minutes? Let me show you how.
So chapter 3 is really simple when you get the hang of it. There's not much you need to do. You can just like get rid of the enemies first, so then you can collect your ammo. So then right, all good. So the village is super simple, super straightforward. To the point that you're here, you just need to get some little things. There is nothing else different you can do. The only thing that you really need to take care of is the axe. Getting the axe is crucial. Then you just play normal. Okay, so after cutscene, just do that and aim and walk. So you go faster. If you just walk normally, Sebastian walks slowly because you cannot run in this section, and you can still not run before going through this door. So now we get our sprint back, and we're gonna sprint all the way down here. Just drop down. Some hunted we're gonna appear here, but no worries, they are not gonna target you. You can just run past them. There's no need to worry. Just run towards here, no worries. Here, and just keep running. And keep running towards this part here, and you are safe, basically. Now we're gonna wait for the doctor to do his thing. It's just gonna lure the other enemies. Actually, it doesn't help at all. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna break this wall here. We're gonna drop the X right there, and then the sadist will spawn like that. So we're gonna get another axe. We're gonna go all the way back, and we're gonna do this. We're gonna open this chest. We're gonna use this. I'm gonna try to do that. Okay, now I'm gonna shoot. So basically, you double tap him with an axe. We did 4 shots. I think we need 8, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. So basically, the sadist is dead, and if you can see right in the far corner, everyone else in the village is dead. So you just need to kill the sadist, and basically the entire village is dead. All the enemies will die, and they also drop loot. So basically you can just grab the loot here, grab the chainsaw so you can finish this level, and here you can see that they spawn the loot despite you not fighting them.
Or my favorite one that took me so many attempts until I finally realized how to do it. Killing Laura within a minute.
Okay, so it's Laura time. This is really precise. So don't worry if you mess up, it's really hard. So basically what we have to do is go here, shoot her once with the shotgun alongside with a match. Now we're gonna run and jump right here, try to go as right as you can, go all the way back, shoot her and the lever at the same time. Throw explosive bolt and give a couple shots before the furnace closes. So then what is gonna happen, she's gonna spawn under the furnace again, so she's gonna get burned twice, and that actually does a lot of damage to hers. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna wait her for spawn here, we're gonna burn her, and that's it. That was Laura in basically under a minute. Really easy, really simple, but on practice is really hard to pull it off because the shot must be precise. You need to shoot her in a specific frame, and at the same time she is ending the spawn animation, and you need to hit the lever and her right in this specific set of frames. So doing that, she's gonna go down the furnace, she's gonna get burned twice. If it doesn't work, she will spawn upstairs alongside there and not downstairs.
The key to success in this game is to utilize your arsenal in diverse ways. It's not your typical survival horror game where you hoard a powerful weapon, gather ammunition, and save it for a boss fight. Instead, you must comprehend your surroundings, exploit the environment to your advantage, and adapt on the fly to every situation. For instance, if you find yourself overwhelmed by enemies, use a flashbolt on the ground to reposition yourself. When facing a group of hunted, lead them into a confined space and deploy an electric bolt on the ground, allowing you to burn them all with a single match. Utilize your shotgun for swift ground control. Employ the sniper rifle for distant falls, and don't hesitate to use the ammo for all your weapons. Shift your mindset away from saving the strongest weapons exclusively for bosses. Instead, employ every tool at your disposal to your advantage. Once I grasped and embraced this approach, the game became significantly more enjoyable. I can say for certain if this was the intended design, but personally, despite its flaws, I find great enjoyment in what the evil within offers. I also recognize why it's often described as a bad game. I couldn't go on and on about these sections for hours, but I believe they deserve a video of their own. The key point here is that despite my deep enjoyment of the game, I still point out its numerous flaws to new players. I love the game, but I acknowledge its imperfections. It's important to remember that my opinion doesn't necessarily reflect the typical player experience. Lastly, I've completed so many runs on Nightmare and Akumu difficulties that one day, on the 1st February of 2022, I achieved a world record, and it's the only one I ever secured on console for nightmare difficulty. As of now, I'm in the second spot because another incredible runner surpasses my previous record. However, I'm determined to regain the top spot. Since I've started playing on PC, I've been contemplating getting a capture card to record the gameplay with better quality. In the past, I used the Remote Play app from the PlayStation to play on PC and then use OBS to capture the screen, but the quality was limited to 720p. In the near future, I will make another attempt to claim that top spot because I'm not done yet.
Is this a world record? Guys! Guys, I did it! Wait. I'm gonna check. Oh shit. Oh my heart. I'm gonna die. World record! World fucking record! Holy shit! World fucking record! Yes!
The Evil Within speedruns paved the way for my Twitch channel and this very YouTube channel that you are watching now. Because of that, it holds a special place in my heart. Everything I've accomplished and I will achieve in the future can be attributed to The Evil Within, a horror game that promised to be the rebirth of survival horror. While many reviews suggest it fell short of that promise, for me, in a different way, it succeeded. I'm genuinely happy to have spent countless hours playing this game. It inspired me to pursue my passion for creating game content. Despite all the flaws, I will always cherish The Evil Within for being an amazing, thrilling, and a beautiful mess. Hey everyone, Jules here, and I finally made an Evil Within video! I had so many ideas, but none of them were worth the try. This game has a deeper meaning for me and I wanted to make justice, and hopefully I did. Well, that was my take on this game, and I want to thank you so much for you that took your time to spend with me. I truly appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a like and also share with your friends. Also leave it a comment down below. And if you want to expand the discussion even further, do it, but always with respect. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, stay awesome, stay safe, and don't forget,